with various maps and graphs, and saved your workspace, and you can also recall your workspace. Also, you can pin a workspace. As you can see here, the pin is green and the pin is red, which means that that workspace, when you re-log in the system, will be reopened automatically. So all map view and graph view windows are saved within the workspace and reopened exactly as you saved them, including the position and the zooming, also the outmasking and various other let's say layout of your maps and graphs. You can also export and import workspaces. Currently, it is not implemented to share your workspaces with other users. So the only thing that you can do is import or export a workspace and then import it under another user account. That is the only way to share your workspaces, for example. Okay, what can you do more or less? I'll give you 3 examples of workspaces, which Chris is going to explain much more in deep in the coming session. So, for example, you can do continent monitoring or country monitoring or environmental monitoring. These are 3 examples of workspaces that you can create. So I'm going to give you a quick demo. There is also an exercise, but I think it is best that you do the exercise maybe during the session of Chris. I'm just going to give you a demo so you can see what you can do with workspace. It's not so difficult to understand. There is, of course, also course material available in the DLP and on the Google Classroom. So let's go to the workspaces. Here I am in the default workspace. The default workspace is always present. Normally, one of the reference workspaces, here you have a button which opens the list of reference workspaces that are all present on the eStation, which you can open. You will not see this column because I'm an administrator, but yeah, you can select, for example, one workspace, this one, and open the selected workspace. The workspace will be opened, the tab will be green because you cannot make changes to the reference workspace. You can only save the workspace as your own workspace that will be saved under your under my workspaces here. So let me start then by explaining copying, let's say, a reference workspace. So this is the reference workspace of VGT Rain Burkina Zondoma 2020. You can then click on Save As. You give it a name. I just leave the name that is proposed. Click on OK. You will get a message that the workspace has been saved or created. And then under My Workspaces here, you will see your saved workspace. So you have a copy. Now you can select that one and open your workspace, which is exactly the same as the one that you copied. Okay. As you can see here, there is a red pin in the tab of your copied workspace. If you click on it, then it becomes green, which means that when you re-log in into the system, this workspace will be opened automatically. I can show you that by refreshing the browser. Oh, yeah, I have many more pinned workspaces, but as you can see, your copied one is opened automatically. Okay, you can also change the name of your workspace by double clicking on the name. So you can maybe remove the copy and then hit enter, and your workspace name has been changed. You can also move your workspaces around like this. Yes, I think that is more or less it. So under reference workspaces, you find a long list of reference workspaces that has been created by the eStation team, which you can use and copy and adjust to your needs. And under My Workspaces, you find all your own workspaces, where you can also create, for example, a new workspace. So first of all, you can select one or holding the shift more or more workspaces and open them. Or you can, for example, create a new workspace. So you click on New Workspace, see that the workspace is still red because you didn't save it. So I can put one of my maps in there, for example, the first one. If it is working. No, there must be something wrong. Okay. So I just open the map and then I say save workspace, and my workspace is saved and it becomes white. And you find your new workspace in your list of my workspaces. You can also, of course, close a workspace by clicking on the X here, for example. Okay. And you can, sorry, something that's a bit slow. You can also export the workspaces. So for the exporting, yeah, that is the only thing here possible for to share your workspaces. So you select one or more workspaces like this, and then you click on export, and a JSON file will be created here, will be downloaded, where the definition of the selected workspaces are defined. And then you can import a workspace. Here on the online version that is not possible because we cannot upload any files. But on the Major Station and also on the Windows version, this functionality is available. So if you log in on a different accounts, you can here then import the workspaces that were exported by another user. Okay, I think that is it concerning the workspaces. I hope that everything is clear. If there are any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we go on because we are a bit behind schedule. And I give the floor to Chris. Are there any?
Okay, thank you.
Chat. Okay. No questions. I hope that everything is clear.
But maybe the question will be later when because with the exercises I will present. Maybe you can help me if there are specific questions.
Okay. Good. I stop sharing.
Okay.
Christopher, I'll be jumping off for about 30 minutes, but I'll be back. Maybe I'll make you the host.
Okay. Oops. Sorry, I made a mistake. Okay. Okay. So now this part of the presentation is some. I will provide you some examples of workspaces and interpretations, kind of interpretation or ideas to make a useful workspace. Of course, you can adapt. It's not the best. I won't say that I will propose the best solutions, but it's some examples, and I think some example if you don't know how to generate this kind of example. So the first one is an example of the agriculture monitoring presented I think already. So you have different things to the workspace. You can generate this kind of map when you have first the presentation of the FAPAR values, the raw values in this is Burkina Faso, and associated with that you can make you can generate the anomaly, so based on the Z score, and then by selecting a specific region, here it's in red, you can present a lot of information in one map. So basically, in that case, you will have both the spatial information of the FAPAR of the FAPAR situation, but you have also the anomaly, and so basically you have the spatial extent of positive or negative anomalies, and you can add this kind of temporal evolution in a specific region. And in that case, what we can propose, for example, here you have a mix of information based on the FAPAR average FAPAR values inside the region, and the precipitation. So basically, what we present here is first in the bar down here in blue, you have two information derived from SHIRPS, which is the precipitation and the seasonal cycle, the climatology of the precipitation. So basically, you have some positive values or negative values compared to the climatology provided here. And in lines, you have the FAPAR anomaly. And what we propose here is it's the evolution of the FAPAR average inside the region compared to the climatology. And basically, we provide three different information in the climatology. We have the long-term average in the middle, but because sometimes you have region with a large variability, and sometimes you are quite the variability is really low, it's important to provide the spread of this estimate, and that's why we included the 10-day minimum and 10-day maximum of the climatology. So basically, you have both the long-term average and the envelope of values during the season. So even here, for example, here you have a big variation, but it's still inside the envelope. Whereas here, for example, we're very close to the minimum ever recorded in that region. So it's a nice view of having a good reference. So even if you don't know this region, it's possible with this kind of system to have that spatial information, but also temporal evolution with some reference regarding the climatology. And you can relate the anomaly, the negative anomaly. Watch out, it's mid-August. So basically, it's this value. And to try to relate to precipitation, basically it's maybe a drought that occurred it's kind of dry spell instead of a drought. So drought is more longer period. This is a very short-term dry spells, but you see that we have a strong decrease for a very short time period. And maybe this will generate this kind of anomaly in the FAPAR system. So it's a nice indicator. It's a first analysis we can show. Another way to present the agricultural monitoring is this type of graphic. So here we move to DMP. This is the situation of DMP in 2020 or over Kenya, and it's related to this can be related to three other maps or three different climatology, the same as presented before, the minimum, the maximum, and the average over the same period of time. Of course, you have to be careful with that. And you can see again the special situation regarding the climatology and the envelope of the climatology. And then you can create a map. So if you look at just that and that, the value and the anomaly, you can find some information, but it's nice also to have a better view of the spread and the spatial extent of the anomaly regarding what we have in the climatology. So it's another, and this is the temporal evolution of Ethiopia. So it's another type of graphic that can be useful also, is to see this kind of spatial anomalies regarding to the climatology, and you can use it for precipitation, for other type of variables, of course. You have also more, it's more complete analysis, I would say, is where we use I think we use all the possibilities in terms of graphic. This is the situation of a specific region north of Cape Town in South Africa. And so basically we start with the NDVI situation here. So you see that this region is affected by the negative trend of the NDVI ratio. So we expect something lower than the climatology. And if we look at the seasonal, in the climatological perspective, it looks like that was in 2018, that was the worst on record. And then you can, as I shown previously, you can compare this climatology with the precipitation. Sometimes you can see that everything is not necessarily explained by a short-term effect. For example, here you see that we have a negative anomaly of the variable, the NDVI. But when we look at the relation with the long-term average, you see that this anomaly is present all the time, meaning that we can suspect here a climate change of the characteristics. So if you have a constant bias of the anomaly, so it's also important to look at and to analyze in detail if you don't have a bias associated with the climatological trends of a specific variable. And then you have the bar, it's the anomalies for every year, and you can see, as I mentioned there is clearly a trend. It's not only this anomaly of rainfall that explain potentially this anomaly of the crop monitoring, but it's also a signature much longer. We talk about 4 years memory. So basically, you have certainly this effect, but you have also to consider this kind of trend. So it's also important to consider. And this kind of map is nice to have, because here you don't realize at the beginning that the worst is 2018, but close by you have 2016, 2017. And so basically the three worst are very close, very recent. So if you don't look into detail the number here, maybe you don't see the trend. You see it's the worst, okay, but you don't see there is a climatological trend. When you plot this kind of graphic, you see much more the climatology, and you can detect a new bias in your trend, or a new trend. And the others, this is the matrix is really important, not maybe necessary in that specific case. We will see later on when we can use it more precisely, and in one exercise is using that possibility. It's extremely interesting when you have both a seasonal cycle and a strong anomaly, because depending, as soon as you have a strong seasonal cycle, it's really important where the anomaly occurred, because if it's at the beginning, outside the season, or in the middle of the season, of course, the impact will be completely different. And finally, this kind of cumulative score, we have to use it with caution, because if you don't, depending the data sets, if you have a strong anomaly at the beginning of the period, you will start to be under the curve, under the climatology. And you maybe, if you have just a big anomaly at the beginning, you will have this kind of deficit. But then, if you talk about rainfall for the moment, for instance, if then after this short-term period, you restart to be very close to the climatology, finally, you will have all the time a reddish color, but without any increase or decrease of the surface, but still reddish. And at the end of the year, maybe the impact will be not visible, except in this kind of map, because you add all the anomalies during the year. So if you have a strong anomaly at the beginning of the year, be careful. You may have this kind of reddish or bluish or reddish greenish color all the year long. So we can discuss later on about that. Same for, of course, what we used, what we can present for agricultural purpose can be used also for the oceanographic dataset. So this is an example for the chlorophyll and the SSTs. And you have this kind of temporal evolution for a specific region, which is the Cormorant exclusive economic zone. And you have this kind of seasonal cycle for more than a year, when you have the evolution of a specific period of time, the chlorophyll, compared to the climatology, and you can link the two if there is a link, of course. And another aspect is this kind of integrative data. For if you're interested to look at both a specific indicator in a specific region, but you're also interested what happens around that, it's this kind of map. So basically, you can analyze a score for a specific zone. This is Ivory Coast. And then you can also compare to what happened in the vicinity, close by, if you observe the same trend or the same relationship in between. So basically, you have here, it's information related to NDVI and MODIS all the time. It's almost the same. It's the same variables. The only difference is the region. So you can analyze what happened in your specific target zone compared to the region. Also because you may have some uncertainties related to your detection, and it's also nice to have a better overview at regional scale. For the water body, I mentioned there's figures this morning. So basically, as presented by Jurjen yesterday, you can plot it, but you can also assess. The surface of water detection. So basically, you can create a map, for example, showing the situation of a specific lake, river, or coast compared to the climatology. But you can also, if you draw, if you remember yesterday, if you draw a region, or if you select already a specific region, you can calculate the surface water detection, and you can compare the Landsat water detection for a specific month or for a specific period compared to the climatology. And you can see what is the evolution and what is this time of evolution. And you can use, as for water resources, you can use it for the climate evolution, for other many things. And the last use of that I identified, but you can also use for other aspects, but Another use of the workspaces can be the intercomparison of products. As I mentioned previously, and this is a good example, is the rainfall. You may have a big variability when you compare the different products available. There is no perfect product. I mean, there is no one is considered as the reference. So basically what we can do is to provide to you the lot of variables, and you can do your own estimation of the uncertainties. And depending where you are, you may have a big differences. So this is an example for the African continent. It's not very easy to see, but for example, you see that in some places, and if you use a product that is sensitive to that integrate satellite images, will generate some rainfall in a region where you don't have any single rain gauges. It doesn't mean it's false. It's wrong. But you may have, for example, in Sahara, you have this kind of data sets generated here, where you have some rainfall provided here, whereas for the others, it's not present, because if your algorithm is based on rain gauges, for sure, you have only few there, and it's almost impossible to detect this kind of bend. And you can suspect, if you use only that data set, I mean, it's a bit suspicious. You may have this kind of thunderstorm in the Sahara, even during winter time. You never know. But I would say I suspect more bias in the algorithm based on the Earth observation, based on the satellite estimation. In some other places, of course, when you increase the density of network, you start to decrease the variability of the rainfall signature, and you have the spatial variability. But if you select a specific region like Sierra Leone in 2017, you see some product and the variability of the product. There are some that has been removed right now because also they are very far from the others, so it's sometimes better to remove when you have some suspicious values. But even for the most famous, it's really and very useful. I mean, very used by many users like FuseNet, Chirps, or Thamsat. You see there are a lot of differences even in between them. And so if you look at monthly time scale, I explained you before I show you these maps over Cameroon in 2019. This is 3 examples from Chirps on the left, FuseNet in the middle, and Thamsat on the right. And you have the cumulated precipitation for monthly cumulated precipitation. And also because we are talking about raw data, but even if, so for example, FuseNet is really different to the others. But if you compare these 2 products, you can say, okay, it looks very similar. But when you plot the anomaly, and sometimes you use the anomaly more than the raw data, because the climatology is a bit different, and maybe you have also very suspicious values in the past, you may have a very different values when you compare the anomalies. So basically, when you look at over this region, when you look at those 2 products, maybe that one is a bit overestimated compared to that one. But what is really remarkable, if you look at the anomaly, you will define this region as under dry conditions, whereas according to Thamsat, it's wet conditions. So I don't talk about FuseNet, which is very different to the others, but even for 2 products that looks much more in agreements, when you see raw data, as soon as you plot the anomaly, you have this difference. So it's also important to keep in mind, and you can use the workspaces to generate this kind of comparison, intercomparison, to see what is the impact. Not of the, I mean, to not have a scientific conclusion, but more to have an assessment of the uncertainty of what you look at. So, okay, maybe now we can practice a bit. So we presented with Jurjen, Jurjen presented the functionalities of the workspaces and how to generate maps. I show you I showed you some example of applications. So basically, I decided to some exercises to see how you can create this kind of how you can respond to a specific demand. So I know that maybe it's not exactly your topic, it's not your region of interest, but if you're able to do that for that specific question, I'm sure you will be able to adapt to your specific, to your own exercise. So the first one I proposed. So basically, what we're going to do is I will introduce you the context. I will show you how I can respond to that question, and I let you trying to reproduce the workspace. You can also change a bit and you can adapt. So you can propose something else. There is no, I mean, it's not the only answer for that specific question. But for each exercise, the idea is to let you 10, 15, or maybe more minutes to work on that, to if you are able to generate this kind of map, and then we can discuss about the so basically the first example is the most basic, is the climatological evolution of the precipitation over Nigeria in 2020. I say two parts because I made two maps, but it's not very different. So basically, we're going to work over the Nigeria country, and more specifically the Delta region. I will show you where it is. We're going to use TAMSAT, the monthly products, and we're going to analyze mostly the climatology. So the idea is not to show exactly what happened now, but it's more how we can define the climatology of that region. And basically, it's we have to show the seasonal cycle of precipitation over the region. We have also to look at the internal variability, and it could be nice to have the classification of the rainy season 2020 with relation to the climatology. And in extra, we can see an evolution of the seasonal cycle. So this is the what I proposed. I have also the we can also make a demo. But typically, what I propose to do is to make a map, 3 maps of so the delta region is that one with this kind of with this shape. Do you see my screen? Okay, that this one, this region is the region of interest, is a delta region, but we're gonna show all the Nigeria region, and I ask you to generate 3 different maps. So by using the new map function, you will select the TAMSAT rainfall 1 monthly, so it's long-term minimum, the long-term average, and the long-term maximum. So you have to generate 3 maps with the same product. Be careful with the 1st of October, the date. You have to link the 3. So basically, they are already normally linked, spatially and temporally. And you can look at the climatology of the region from January to December. I think it's the first start. If I change the screen, do you see it now? You see the
Yes, you can see it.
Okay, so this is my workspace. So basically, you have to to generate this kind of map, you have to make a new map with a new product. You select the rainfall. The TAMSAT rainfall, the region, there is only one region, which is the African continent. And then you have, if you go, you scroll down, you will see there are all the climatology, long-term average, long-term minimum, maximum. So basically, it's long-term minimum. It's important to be consistent. So once you have defined a specific color scale, you have to keep the same for all the maps. Otherwise, that will be quite useless. And then you can create the first map. Then you can redo the same for three times to have the three different variable. Most of the time we lose the link. I mean, when you save the space and you reopen it, you will lose the link in between the maps. So you have to re-click and redefine the map. Or if you don't want to move your map, you don't have to. So I let you doing that. And once you did that, you can play with the you can add so once you have created the map, you can improve the map. So as Jorian mentioned yesterday, you can change the title, you can add the border by using this kind of the vector layer, and you can add the border, or you can add the regions, etc. You can define your own domain. And once you have created this, you can plot the, I don't know why minimum is not appeared. Okay. And then you can, because the three maps are linked, once you have, for the moment, I know that you have only the three maps. So to be consistent, I can add in my map, I will, okay. Okay. So now my three maps are linked, so I can slightly move. I can zoom into the specific region I would like to analyze. So if this is the sub-region, the delta region of Nigeria. And then I can also look at the climatology. So for in January, I can see the minimum, the maximum, and the different values of the rainfall. Yeah, this is the case. So there is no value in January. Sorry, I forgot. It's related to another map we're going to create, because I asked you to also analyze the seasonal cycle. So we are in a region with a very high seasonal cycle of the monsoon. So basically you have the monsoon coming from the Guinean Gulf, moving north in spring, reaching the Sahel in the middle of the summer, and then the retreat phase of the monsoon going south and repassing over Nigeria. So basically you have a bimodal precipitation shape of that region, with the first monsoon season, then the small dry season, but it's relatively dry, but it's not really dry, and the retreat phase of the monsoon. So to do that, you have to generate a profile. So I think I think you have already done this the three first maps. I hope so. So now you can generate this kind of profile here by adding now it's a graph. Be careful. So basically it's a graphic. It's a profile. So of course you select the same type of data sets. So we're going to use the Thamsat rainfall, and you open the long-term average. This. And you have only 1 year available, because it's a climatology. So basically it's not 2020, it's the climatology. So, and you can create the time series. Sorry, you have to select, sorry, here you have the selected region, and you see it doesn't appear, so you have to select it, and then you have the good region selected, so it's Nigeria Delta, and you can generate the time series. It's what I did here, and it's the result you get. So now you can understand better the minimum observed for a specific period, because, for example, in January, February, March, you're very in a, or December, January, you are very in a dry season. So you have a very dry conditions in average, and it's possible that you have no precipitation over the region during the, sometimes some years you have no precipitation. That's why you have a white map. But if you move into July, you see that you have the values, and you have even during the driest season, you still have more than 150 millimeters. Okay, so now you can because we have to look at the year 2020 in the climatological perspective. It could be nice to plot the ranking. So basically, if you want to add it, you have to use new graph. And that time you will generate the ranking. So you click on ranking, and then you go to rainfall. You select the Thamsat series. So now you don't have to select the long-term average, but you will select the rainfall, the monthly rainfall. And then you can create the period. You can select the period of time when you want to analyze. So here I use the entire period. So in that case, you can click on that and you can just analyze. So you can also compare the specific years. I mean, you can select the 5 most recent year compared to the 5 oldest. You can select only the 3 more recent years, or you can select all, depending what you want to analyze. And then if the region is still selected, you can generate the map. And you will get this kind of map. Again, you can improve the title. You can by using the different function presented by Jurjen. You can change the title of the graphic. You can change the color of the axis. You can also change the color of the color of the data sets. Here you can change the color. You can move from column to line. You can change the color here, etc., etc., and add new product or remove product, add years, remove years. And an interesting analysis is also to take into account, as I mentioned previously, we have a strong seasonal cycle, and we have also so we have a strong seasonal cycle, and we know that we have a strong climatological evolution of the rainfall over the years in West Africa and in Africa in general and in the world. So when you have both information, you need both information, meaning both the seasonal cycle and the climatology. It's really nice, the function of matrix. It's really powerful and very interesting because you have the two, it's a 2D graphic showing the two informations. And if you know the seasonal cycle, so basically the profile shape, you have this information. So when you plot this kind of matrix, you have a very interesting informations. And what I propose here is to generate the maps, the matrix for all the year. So basically it's all the data sets available, average over the region. So it's still Nigeria Delta. And we're gonna plot all the years available and all the months from January to December. So of course we have we don't have any information for the end of the year 2020, but we have almost a year completed. So basically we have to generate a new graph, and that time we're gonna select matrix. And then the same region, selected region is correct. we have to select the rainfall. You're going to select the timestamp rainfall. It's the monthly data set. And you can select a specific color scale. Oh, sorry. It's not the monthly. You can plot the monthly rainfall, but you will have. We can regenerate that one. I can show you. But the thing is, of course, we will have a strong seasonal cycle, and it's not necessarily visible. But still, it's interesting. It's complementary information. So you have both the information of the seasonal cycle and the internal variability. And even because the climate change, I mean, the internal variability is so strong, you still have the information on the seasonal, on the internal variability, even if you have this kind of strong seasonal cycle. But it's relatively interesting to look at. If you look both the two data sets, if you see in the two cases, it's not okay. We had a big difference. We know that we know, maybe most of them know that in the 80s in West Africa was the most terrible dry period, and with a very, very high consequences. So that's why we have also on record here this very, very huge negative anomaly of rainfall. And also in the seasonal cycle, we have almost the absence of the first peak here, because you see it's not present. I mean, we have only values of about 100 and 200 millimeters. But we don't and we have very strong signal. And from that period, we have a partial recovery of the rainfall. But it's interesting to notice for example, a specific aspect of the seasonal cycle, because you may have during the seasonal cycle, you may have a change of a specific characteristic of it. So for example, if we focus on June, July, the precipitation in June, July, if you look at both this signal and this signal, you see that for both June and July, you have still positive values. And okay, you have a period there with negative values, but all the time it's relatively positive compared to the rest of the months. So basically, if you look at because I did that for another map, if you, instead of looking at, because when you create a map, you select the months you want to look at. But you can focus only on July and August, June, July, and you can make all the analysis, the ranking and the matrix only for June, July. This is what I mean. It's quite easy to do when you have if I create a new map, a new graph. Okay, instead of using, okay, you use the average year, but you see here there is a box that I didn't use for the moment. But in fact, you can select, if you select only 1st June to end July, the map you will create it won't go through all the year, but will focus on a specific period of the year. So basically, for example, here, June and July. And I did it I did it already for my presentation. It's just an application when you work on the exercise. Just to show you that this is the example I show you previously with all the year and the 2020. The rainfall during 2020 compared to the climatology. So you see that the worst was in the 80s, during the period of the drought. 2020 looks relatively normal compared to the climatology. But if we look at in detail June, July, so basically I use the function that I present you before. When you have the box, you select just the period from beginning June to end July. You see that we have almost, for example, June, you have only 1 month with significant negative precipitation since 1982. In July, you have more variability, but it's still the most recent year are bluish, sorry. And if you make the same anomaly, instead of using the full year, but you use only June, July, so you focus on the first peak of the rainy season over the Nigeria, you see you can make the ranking for the same period of time. And you see that 2020 is the third wettest on record. You find the same, because I mentioned previously in the 80s, the drought was mostly associated with the very decrease of this first peak during the season. In fact, right now, the partial recovery showed that the first peak is even stronger than before. So you pass from a normal year, 2020, compared to when you look at all the season, but you can zoom in a specific period of time, and you can very easily analyze this kind of thing, of results. So I let you still couple of minutes if you want to generate this kind of workspace. So once you have created the map, save it. But I think Jurjen mentioned it. Once you have saved, close it and reopen it. It's now on my workspace. So you save it. Normally, if you save it, you will have a message saying that the workspace is saved. Okay, it's updated. But when it's the first time you create the workspace, you have to close it and to go to my workspace, and you reopen it to work on that. And then when you modify, when you update, you don't have to close anymore. But it's just when you create the first your first workspace. By the way, if you want to change the title of the workspace, you can double click on it here. You can double click there, and you can modify the name of your workspace, and etc. So I don't have any feedback. I don't know if I'm alone, if
You're not alone.
I don't know if I have some, okay, so I have some positive, okay, so for yourself, it's done. I don't know if you want a bit more time.
Just a few more minutes for me. Can hear.
Okay. Do you have a problem with a specific?
Not really. Just figuring out about the saving and opening.
Okay.
I had a couple of them, so yeah. But so far so good.
Good, excellent. So I don't go into detail to change the title, to change all the information related to the graphic. But as Jurjen said, it's really powerful, and you have a lot of functionalities available to improve your maps, change the colors, to add the logos. So it's more just to show you an example of application. And for those that finished, you can check if it works for you. Also, you can also compare you can unlinked also to check if you're able to, if you want to compare some there is no really scientific reason to compare two different months for minimum and maximum, but you can compare, for example, the minimum recorded in July to the maximum recorded in January. I don't know why, but you can do it. For that, you remove the link in between the two, and this is it. So basically what we can say, it's in July, the minimum recorded in July was always above the maximum recorded in January. I don't know if it's interesting for you, but and also you can improve the seasonal cycle by adding the minimum, the maximum, also to see what is the envelope of the climatology. So you can do it manually. You can add, not recreate the map, you can directly transform your, for example, if you want to add the max, there it is, and you update and done. So if you consider it's not nice, you can also modify the one you have added. Instead of putting a colon, you can put a line. You increase a bit the size of the line. Oops, sorry. Okay, I close that. I update the graph. And here it is. So now I have here, I can also add the minimum. Up, I know I want I don't want a column, but I want a line. I will change the color, otherwise it will be similar to the previous one. And I update. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake. I didn't mention the size of the line, so I have this error. Okay. Et voilà. And now I have the same evolution. I have improved a bit the graph, adding the minimum and the maximum that I plot here inside my workspace. I can save it. Okay, I can move to the second exercise.
Christopher, there is a question from Youssef on the availability of data sets according to the area of interest. Yeah, say that we normally ingest the different data sets in the station at JRC, and so then we mirror it to the online version. At the continental level for the precipitation products, and also at the continental level for vegetation and fire categories, and most of them actually. There is some specific area of interest for the PML because of the way they are distributed, so they are available over the area for the University of Ghana and MOI independently. For maybe we can double check because CHIRPS should be available over Africa. So if I change the area of interest, I guess more or less product for the same data sets. Can you double check opening a new map, Christophe, on what is available for CHIRPS?
Only 10 days.
Interest.
Sorry?
No, I was saying for CHIRPS, we provide it over Africa, the full continent.
Yeah.
Yeah, not on there. There is no more than one area of interest.
No. No.
If you would like to intervene by voice, don't hesitate, Youssef.
But just to mention, I mean, you know, there is this functionality of having very interactive systems. So now I linked everything. You know, all the graphs are linked. And also I linked the temporal evolution to the region of interest. So now if I moved, because we have somebody working for Morocco, I can just, I have to go slowly because we are several working on the station. And because now we have a lot of data. And for example, if you're interested to the region of Marrakesh, so I didn't plot, I didn't touch anything. I just linked the graph in between them. And I click on the region selected, and I will do exactly the same. Everything is done automatically for another region. So for example, you were talking about, yeah, so this is exactly the same analysis for another region of interest. So basically I have an issue with, I mean, because it's a bit slow, but okay. So basically it's a relatively, so I select a Marrakesh region, relatively, so I don't know very well, but you see that the seasonal cycle is a bit different with a very high variability from a dry to a wet year. We see that 2010 was really a very, very wet year. And if you look at 2020, looks like 2020 is not a very good year, but be careful. I check in, we have a wet season ongoing that is not taken into account because 2020 is not over yet. So be careful when you use that. For Nigeria, it was not a problem because November is the beginning of the dry season. For example, for this region, you see that be careful when you look at 2020 in the context of the seasonal cycle. We have 2 months missing right now. That could explain this. If you look at the graphic showing the matrix, showing the anomalies, you see that we have a relatively dry first season of rainfall during from January to May, but then it's there is no signature and it's not extremely dry. So let's see what's going to happen for the end of the year. I don't know if I'm wrong or if the data are correct, but according to what I say, this is the conclusion we can bring. And yeah, so it's also for technical part, you see, it's really easy to move to another region and to have immediately all the information provided. Okay, we can move to the second exercise. Okay. I see there are again some people. Okay. Okay, so next, second exercise. It's still about rainfall because it's the most useful data sets on the climate station, and it's also another. I mean, it's easy to manipulate, and it's really also not. It's not very easy to manipulate. It's about the uncertainties of the data sets. So, for example, in that exercise, I will ask you to make a very quick comparison of spatial and temporal evolution of the precipitation in Central Africa. I select Central Africa because it's a region where we have a lot of uncertainties related to the big MCS, and because we have a lot of different algorithms to assess the precipitation depending the Earth observation, the satellite images and the clouds. We have a lot of uncertainties. So you have to go to Central Africa, to the Mbomu region, and you have to compare all the rainfall products available on the East Station at monthly timescale. And do you see the uncertainties in August 2020? So basically, this is the kind of answer. So again, the idea is to go to, so this is Central Africa, a country. The Mbomu region is that one. And basically what I did here, I select the 3 datasets, well-known SHIRPS, FuseNet, and TAMSAT. And I select monthly product. You can use other type of cumulative period, 10 days if you prefer, decades. During the season of rainfall, because when the dry season, it's not very useful. And watch out to use the same color bar, and you plot the rainfall, to the RFE product, and the RFE diff to LTA, so it's rainfall difference to the long-term average for each product. And okay, I selected especially for that purpose. It's because we know we have a very big uncertainties, especially from FuseNet. But not only, I mean, the agreement, when you look in detail, the dataset from SHIRPS and TAMSAT, you have also some differences, especially for the rainfall anomalies that can bring different informations. So you have to create maps. So it's 6 maps. So it's 6 times the same action. It's new map. Then you select the different product. Be careful with the monthly. Sometimes you make a mistake by selecting the decade product or a specific climatology instead of the real value. And you have also to be careful with the time, because if you, for example, if you open something that can be a mistake, if you create a map, for example, SHIRPS, I can show you. So I can close my first exercise. Okay, this is the second. So basically, you see all my maps are based on 1st of August. But if I create a new map of rainfall, if I select the SPI, 1 month, and I create the map, you can see that by default, it's not, the time is not the same. So be careful, check several times if you're looking at the same period of time. So, and this is true when you create the first time the workspace, or when you have already a workspace and you create a new map in the existing workspace, like I'm doing now. You see that, okay, the special region is different. So I have to look at, I have to resume on the Mbomu is here. So if I linked all of them, because it was already said, okay, I can, even if I linked the new product, the SPI product, to the other one, the special link, you see that the temporal link is not yet generated. So to check, to double check, and to be sure that you look at the same period of time, you have to re-click on the 1st of August. In that case, all the maps will be updated with the same period of time. It's just a remark when you're doing the okay, if some of you okay, If it's okay for most of you, you can, for those that are pretty good, so you can generate this kind of profile where you select. You can start by the three rainfall products to see the evolution of the spatial evolution of the temporal evolution of the rainfall estimate over the specific region. So when you create the graph, you have to, of course, the border should be added. So basically, in this map, you have to open the vector layer to plot the country and the regions, or just the regions. You have to select the Mbomu region in Central Africa. When it's selected, you see it appears here, so it's correct. It's a region where we are looking at the evolution, the time series. You select the variable. So in my case, it's rainfall. Shapes. So you can select shapes, and you add all the variable in one shot. The monthly rainfall of shapes. Okay, it appears here. Then you can do the same for FuseNet. And for Thamsat. And then you can just select, we just want to show the 2020. Yeah, the year 2020. So don't, so basically you have the three maps, and then you can generate the time series. So here it's just an example. I forgot one variable, but okay, so you have to improve it. So basically, once you have generated the map, you can add. So in that case, you see it's impossible to distinguish shapes and FuseNet. So you have to go to products, and then you have to play with this. You have to edit the properties, the draw properties, and you can change into bar or line. You can change the colors. You click on it, for example. Here you can select another color, like the red, for example. And you update the graph, etc. So you can add the Thamsat. Here you see Thamsat is missing because I forgot to add. And you can add, or when you generate the time series, or when you have already generated but you want to add it, you can add it. You can edit the graph and add new products. So basically, what you can see is the constant bias of FuseNet compared to the others. But if you look at the anomaly, you see that the anomaly are also different, and it's something that can be an effect of the long-term average. This is only the long-term average, and you see that over the region of Mbomu, you see that the data sets are very different from one to another. And even if Shirps and Thamsat are similar, you have some differences, like in July, for example, with a difference of about a few millimeters. But it's as soon as you have this kind of bias, that means you may generate some bias also in the anomalies. And it can be related to the different period of climatology. I mentioned to you before that every data set has its own period, climatological period. We don't define the same reference period for everyone. And so if we include, for example, I've shown you before the 80s was really dry in West Africa. If it's included in the climatology or not, that's going to change completely the climatology, because you reduce a lot when you include to extremely or few extremely dry years, you will change completely the average of precipitation. So the anomaly is also due to this kind of differences in the long-term average, and it's also nice to show this kind of differences for the climatology. So basically, we have a bias for the more recent year. We have a bias in between the three data sets, but we can also add in the temporal series, time series, the graphic, the profile we generated on the right. You can also add the long-term average and take into account to take into account this kind of uncertainty or information that will have an impact on your results. I don't know if you have questions or remarks or you have problems. I don't see the... Alors, okay. Yeah, so maybe the server is sorry Aziz, but maybe yeah, it's true that I don't know how many people is working on the e-station right now, but it's possible that it's still not working, Aziz? Sorry.
Yes, I see now some images.
Okay.
Yes, I'll continue.
Yeah, it's the main problem of because as soon as we organize this kind of training, you have a lot of people working in the same time, sometimes in the same product, so you may have some difficulties. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, Youssef. It's it's really easy to manipulate, and you can very quickly change as soon as you have some workspaces for dedicated to a specific question for the climatology, anomalies, uncertainties. Then, I mean, you can generate a very nice workspace, and then it's really easy to manipulate and to change from one region to another. Here, for example, I can very quickly change to I will see, yeah. And I can completely change the region. I can move to in Somalia, and I generate exactly the same thing for Somalia. Is FuseNet has the same? Oh, I have an issue with the colors there, but yeah, I think it's FuseNet. See, FuseNet, so there is a bug with the colors, but FuseNet is still very biased compared to the others. So it's nice to see that you have the same type of problems in different regions. So. Okay. I think it's done for the exercise 2. Do you need more time or? So basically for the okay, good to hear that. So for the questions, related to the, so this is another workspace. This is another workspace we have generated to assess the uncertainty of the precipitation, and we have both the information of the climatological reference, but you have also the data set for specific months, and you can see the different bias and different trends in the climatology. So we're going to move to another exercise with another topic. Now we are focusing on the inland water. And we're going to move to East Africa, to Ethiopia. And there is a lake, it's a Ramayai Lake. I provide you the coordinates. So it's 9.40, 4062 north, 42.0014 east. And it's a small lake in Ethiopia. So the first exercise is to find it on the East Asian. So I zoom into this region. So you see it's Google Map. So you see the detection of the water according to Google Map. You see that already we have some difference when you look at the satellite images of Google. So it's the first conclusion. You can see that the challenge of detecting water and the algorithm behind the detection of water. And in that exercise, we're going to use the inland water, and the purpose is to analyze the evolution of this lake and to find the link with what's driving this trend. So we're gonna detect and analyze the detection of the water of the lake compared to the long-term average, especially in 2019. And I ask you, do the rainfall anomalies drive this detection in 2000 or this result in 2019 and the trend? So now we're going to move to another topic. So basically it's inland water. It's not anymore rainfall. I mean, rainfall will be used for the explanation, but we're going to use mostly the inland water. And we have to define a region, a box. So first, you have to, I can move to my workspace, number 3. So first you have to find the region of interest, so you have to add a product. In the product, it's inland water. You cannot make a mistake, there is only one. For the IGAD region, you have different, you have different type of product. Huh? In our case, it's the IGAD region because it's a 30 meters resolution product. We have to split into different type of, we have to split in different regions. So it's the IGAD region. So you select it, and we have two different information: the 1 month weather occurrence, water body occurrence, or the water body long-term average. So basically, if you want to detect it, first you have to select the water balance. You can choose one of the two layers. It's as I mentioned previously, the detection is the Boolean one. So basically, it's 0 or 1. So if you use a color bar with 10 colors, we don't care. We're going to use only the extremes. And then you can plot. So here it's the status in, you can select one specific 1 month in November or in December, whatever. And you have to zoom in once you have selected the region. Sometimes it's better when you create a map, especially when you use this kind of high resolution maps, which is mostly empty because you have only a region where you have data sets. It's nice. Sometimes you're a bit lost. You don't know if you zoom in, you are very zoom in a specific region, or you are watching all the continents. So it's sometimes better when you generate a map. I will create a new map. Watch can see my demo. When you create this kind of map, so basically I will check the inland water. It's okay, I got water balance. So I add the map, and okay, in that case, I mean, okay. Okay, if it opens without anything, you see it's really complicated to see where we are. You don't know if you are very, it's not easy to recognize the region, etc. So what I suggest, I recommend to you, especially if you zoom in, you know, you're completely white, you don't know where you are. So you have some information about the coordinates on the upper side of the window. But what you can do also, it's when you add a layer, and for example, add the African layer level 1 or level 2. In that case, immediately you recognize the Guinean Gulf. Up, you can zoom out and you can go to the region of interest. Then you can, so basically, in my case, I want to look at, for example, I don't necessarily need, okay, Ethiopia, source of Eritrea. So I zoom in, and it's 942. Degree north, ISK 42. Watch out. Is that one? Oh, it's that one. Yeah, it's that one. Got it. Okay. So now you have, if you maybe you are already there, you have you plot the different lakes. I mean, there are in fact not only one lake but several. Or the lake we're interested in is that one. I mean, if you look at the presentation and the Google map, you see that according to the image, you have the big one and you have others. It's exactly what you see here, the big one and the others. Okay, big one and the others. So if we could focus on that one, for example, what you can do, because now you have generated that map, you can generate, if it's linked already to, I mean, if it's the link is already selected, it's easy to add the long-term average, because automatically it will zoom in into the same region. So you don't have to navigate and to find the same region. So you have to create a second map with the long-term average. So you can create like that. And then we're going to create the time series. I'm just checking if there is, okay. So once you have the two maps, what about the time series? So to do that, you have to use another functionality of the e-station, which is something presented previously by Jorian, which is the polygon, the geometrics. And by using this tool, you can select a region of interest. So it's up to you. You can select, okay. So you can draw something. So select a bigger region. Maybe use the climatology to detect the lake. Maybe that one is a bit too small. Or you can analyze all the lakes, and you can select. It's not the purpose is not to analyze specifically. It's more to see the functionality. So you can select all the lakes, a wider region of than mine. And when you have drawn this this rectangle, you can create a new graph, and you go to inland water. Alors, it's a bit watch out. It's a bit complicated here. In the list of the data sets, you see there are plenty of data sets. In fact, it's data set for all the regions. So you have to select the IGAD one because what we are looking is in the region of IGAD. And you can plot for 2019. And then you generate. So it's now the selection. You can also add the climatology, which is, I think there is a problem with the title. I think it's the same title. So you select the two, I think. If somebody can confirm, Vijay or Marco, that the name of the variables are similar, but in fact there is one which is the climatology and the second one is the long-term average.
Yes, they are available for different map sets. So you have to choose, let's say, the map set.
But one is the
area.
One is the detection and one is the climatology.
Yeah, and then both they are available for.
Now the thing is, the small bug is the name is exactly the same.
Yeah, okay. You see below there, you see also the map set code, North Africa.
Let me double check. Sorry. Okay, because indeed the occurrence should be the monthly detection, and then you should have another one which is the
long-term average. But so you select the two, and you will see it's really easy to see there is one very noisy, which is the detection, and the other one is the climatology. But it's just a title that is should be maybe changed. And then you create the map. You can create this kind of Landsat water detection. I don't see okay. And then, so basically what you can do, you can see here, when you see the long-term average and the water detection, you see the differences, and you see that according to the data set we have, it's really clear that we have a trend toward drier conditions and the reduction of the surface water detection in that region. It's really significant. So we're talking about a small lake. It's less than, in average, it's a bit less than 2 kilometers, 2 square kilometers. So it's a small lake, but you can do it for bigger, of course. And if everybody is okay, we can move on the second question that was related to the origin of this trend. Is it related to a specific anomaly of the rainfall or something else? And so basically what we are looking at here is the size of the lake in November, which is here. But if you look at for the same year, it's 2019. And here what I propose to plot is the rainfall. So it's StamSat product, but you can use other type, or you can compare the different products. And what you can do is the time series of 2019 for the precipitation. So it's a new graph. You use we already plot this kind of graphic previously for the two other exercises. So is the information related to the current situation of precipitation over the same region, but you can also define them. Here, if you look at the region is still the same. So basically, when I generated this kind of analysis, I generate the lake over the same lake. But you can also consider that the precipitation in the lake is not related to the precipitation that fall exactly at the place of the lake. You can detect, you can create a wider region, for example, or you can select this region, all the region close to the lake, or you can define a new box where you want to see the precipitation. So you can generate the analysis of the evolution of the lake in a very small region compared to the evolution of the precipitation in the wider region. So it's completely possible. It's when you have just to generate a new draw and you have to select it. Voila. And then here it's another drawn rectangle. It's another selection. So I can look the rainfall at a wider region and I can generate this analysis for another region, not necessarily the. And basically what we can see is that for 2019, we see that we have a constant deficit of rainfall compared to the climatology. But when we look at the precipitation compared to the climatology, there is no significant value, significant trends. The conclusion is that, especially for September to November 2019, we are above the climatology. We are even above the wettest year on record. So we're showing the very high quantity of precipitation in that region that year. So we cannot explain the deficit and the driest condition of the lake compared to they are not driven by the anomaly of precipitation because we're in the wet conditions. So the conclusion is that it's not we cannot explain the precipitation, the evolution of the lake with the precipitation. And it's the same if we look at the same matrix analysis of precipitation. You can see that we were in a dry condition, so you can generate this kind of map. We did already for the two others, so that's why I'm going a bit faster. But basically what we can see is that we were in the dry conditions in the 80s and 90s, but now we are more in the wettest conditions, and we cannot explain this kind of deficit. So it's something else. Either it's related to the water, it's other, because we use the same definition of the region for both the detection of the lake and the precipitation. So you can use a wider region. So for example, I can do right now to show you again. So you use the rainfall data sets. I was using timesat, so I will be consistent. I will use the timesat rainfall. I will use the 10 days rainfall. And I will use the 10 days rainfall LTA. The 10 days, okay, so I will use the anomaly. Yeah, the 10 days LTA is not provided, but we have the difference compared to the, okay. And for 2019, for the drawn rectangle, which is now that one, it's in red, so it's a wider region, so I can plot. So I can add in my analysis and another. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake. So I can close it. I plot a matrix, but I would like more a profile. So I made a small mistake. Sorry about that. Timesat 10 days rainfall and 10 days rainfall LTA for 2019. And I plot it during the drawn rectangle shown here, polygon here, and then I can show it and I can see if in the wider region we are more in white conditions. So basically this is the different, so basically if we we can improve a bit our map. So I can plot a line instead of a bar. Okay, and this is the comparison of the current conditions in bar compared to the climatology in line. So what you can conclude again is that even if you select a wider region, it's another rectangle, so you can obviously so you can change the title, large region. Okay, I don't know how to call it. So you can analyze in your system that you can make this kind of analysis, and you can see that even if you look at the precipitation at different region by using different zone of interest, different polygons, you see that we're still in wet conditions, and we cannot explain the deficit of the lake due to the precipitation, with the precipitation. So this is the third exercises I proposed. Is it okay? I will let you a couple of. Okay, so in the profile you see, and you have the 1 month water balance LTA and the 1 month water balance occurrence. The only question. Yeah, the only question is why we have this kind of. Okay.
Yeah, there is a duplication.
Yeah, there is a duplication, but it's not. You select once occurrence and one long-term average, and it's okay.
Select where the lake is. I think that is then North Africa. So you select the one with.
No, it's IGAD. Huh? That one, Aramaya, is in Ethiopia. Is in IGAD region.
Ah, okay, the IGAD. Okay.
So I don't see the chats. Is there any question or remarks or problems? Okay, good. I think we're gonna stop now. We have it's 12:30, so it's time for the lunch break. Everything is okay for me except profile with surface water. Why is this? You can switch on the mic, huh? You can unmute your mic to.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Only this graph doesn't work for me, and I have a message on the graph with a map in the background and a text, no data available. Even I selected polygon around the lake.
So if we redo together, I mean, look at here. For example, I will draw. You have the map. You see the lake, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you draw the polygon. Okay. Then you have to stop the function of drawing to select it, and it should appear in red. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now you click on new graph.
Yeah.
So the selected region is drawn polygon, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now you go to inland water. Did you, maybe, I'm sure you opened the wrong file, because as I mentioned, you have the monthly water balance, long-term average, and occurrence for different regions. You cannot use, if you look at this specific lake, you have to look at the subtitle of the product is at the beginning, for example, is West Africa. If you open it, for sure you won't have anything, because it's just the data for West Africa. In our case, we have to open these variables for the IGAD region. If you see my screen,
Okay.
it's 1 month water body occurrence for IGAD region. Because it's a high definition product, and we cannot put into one file. It's more easy. It's easier to manipulate, to split in different regions. So when you work with the eStation for a specific consortia, you can download only the region of interest. But this is the online version. We have to provide all the data sets, so you have all the regions basically.
Okay.
So if you select, in my case, I will remove everything. So I will select 1 month occurrence of IGAD only. So basically, it's only it's not the long-term average, but it's just the 2019. I select 2019, of course, in the time frame, and I get the time series. And I get it. I get that. And you can recognize more or less that one.
No problem. I will try again, because right now,
yeah, I mean,
the function about time series.
No,
it's
only the problem of this specific product, which is high resolution product, and it's split in different regions. So you have to be careful with that. But of course, for operational tasks, when you work for West Africa, you're pretty aware about that, so you don't have this problem.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
You're welcome. There is a question of Stefan Giatio. So we proceed to all these treatments after all acquisitions. What do you mean? I'm not completely. I mean, it's some examples of the use of the data you have. You can use, so you can proceed to that. Yeah, if you need it, but not. But you can unmute your mic, and I don't hear you very well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, better now.
Yes, because I'm asking if all those data we acquire, all this treatment we are doing is results of all the data we have acquired from the measure station, or is the last step?
No, it's the last step. It's the analysis.
It's the analysis.
Yeah,
So
it's the analysis side of the eStation. If you want to use it, in that case, it's some example, or you can use the data you have. So if you are not interested about this specific topic, maybe you don't download this kind of information, and in that case, you cannot do that. It's just the analysis part. It's the use of the data sets available. It's the potential use. So it depends if you need it or not, and it depends the topic of your consortium.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so if there is no more question, I think we're going to stop now for the first part of the exercises. It's 12:30, so it's 36. So we're 6 minutes late. I propose a break of an hour. I think it's the program is like that. It's we restart at 1:30. Jurjen, you confirm?
Yes, let me
Okay.
check. Sorry, let me check very quickly.
No, but I think I'm pretty sure it's 1:30, around 1:30. So we have other exercises for